If we're talking about promoting people from an individual contributor up to a leader thing, I mean, first and foremost, you got to understand what the intangibles are, right? We kind of touched on that a little bit. So it's interesting, right? You can take intangibles like drive and ethics and attitude and strategy and accountability. And by the way, those work fine for both individual contributors as well as a leader, right? Both of them kind of require that to certain degrees. But then there's some certain attributes that leadership has that almost has nothing in common with what the individual the contributor has. I know this is going to sound almost in reverse, but to be a good leader, you also have to know how to take direction. If you don't listen very well as an individual contributor, you're just screwing up your own silo, your own little world there. If you don't know how to take direction and adhere to strategy and so forth as a leader, your detriment is exponential, right? I mean, it is a mudslide, once it gets started. I think the ability to sit down and understand whether someone understands how to make good decisions, right? And we're not going to go into really that deeply, but it's, understand an objective present versus an objective past versus an objective future, right? And you kind of break down where you need to go. But maybe last but not least, and this is not a very, again, these are not teachable so much points. It's confidence. Some people have a lot of self confidence that does not necessarily correlate over to group confidence. It is very, very different. And so I think when you're figuring it out, you're going to have conversations. If you got two, three, people in the mix for, being promoted and that sort of thing, you need to have some really different conversations. And those conversations are going to have to be a little bit deeper. Like, how do you think? Why do you think? Why do you think that makes sense? Why wouldn't you do it this way? And really start dissecting kind of how their brain works. Or, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to find the vast majority of people you talk to do not have a leadership mentality. And I haven't really seen it where you can grow that if you don't have it. I've seen people who have it and have just never had anyone help them nurture it. And now that's a big difference, right? And so you have to figure out who has it and who doesn't. And by the way, just because you don't doesn't make you lesser as an individual contributor or lesser in the whole thing. And you need to have that conversation with people and so forth as well. But look, I think there's something to be said about having sincere and honest conversations with your managers. If you're talking with Bill or you're talking with Jill and they're both two of your better contributors and you're not sure maybe who might be the next one, then tell them that's what you want to talk about. But don't have tangent conversations and then go, well, they didn't answer that like a leader. And you're like, well, they're not a leader right now. And they didn't know that's the input you wanted. So you need to be direct. You need to, do this trickery and game playing with them. Say, hey, look, it's you and a couple other people who I think could be potential leaders in this organization. Let's talk about why you think you might be the right person. Right. And then let's sit down and have multiple conversations and dig through those things and be critical when you need to and be supportive where you don't. But you might find out some of these people don't have any interest. And you also may find out that some of these people have a lot of interest, but just don't have the skill set. But you, as a leader of leaders, need to be able to figure that out and determine that in a pretty timely fashion.